Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking into the biography of Mahendra Shah. He's the author of The Awakening, Securing the Living Earth.
Yeah, and it's a really incredible journey to trace.
It is. Our mission today is to trace how he went from, a kid rescuing insects in Kenya to becoming a major player in global environmental policy.
And then making the sudden pivot to holistic wellness.
Right, which seems like a massive leap. But if you ever feel overwhelmed by massive global issues like climate change or food security, this story reveals how systemic change actually begins with your own personal individual choices.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even start?
Well, the story actually kicks off in Nairobi around 1945. Shah is growing up taking these morning walks with his mother and sisters in Nature Park.
And there's this really specific memory from his childhood, right? His mother would constantly stop to gently flip struggling beetles off their backs.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very granular, emotional moment of compassion, but it completely laid the foundation for everything he did next.
But he didn't go into biology or veterinary science. I mean, by 1971, he had a PhD from Cambridge in control system theory.
Right.
How does a highly technical engineering degree connect to the empathy he learned as a kid rescuing bugs?
Well, control system theory is basically about understanding complex, interconnected inputs and outputs, how different parts of a massive structure affect each other.
Oh, so he took that highly analytical engineering framework and applied it to living ecosystem.
Exactly. Even while he was teaching at the University of Nairobi and advising the Ministry of Economic Planning, he stayed deeply connected to the wildlife. There's this heartbreaking anecdote in the text where he actually helped save a young elephant.
The one that was desperately trying to wake its dead mother.
Yeah, that's the one. And what's fascinating here is how these granular, emotional moments of compassion directly fueled his macro-level conservation work, like Kenya's Wildlife Big Five survey.
So he's bridging this hyper-analytical systems thinking with raw compassion, and that combination quickly puts him on the map.
It launches him straight onto the world stage. He gets invited to the 1972 Global Human Environment Conference in Sweden.
Right, and from there, his resume just explodes. Senior roles at the UN, the World Bank, the World Health Organization.
But the real peak of this comes during the devastating 1984 Ethiopian famine. Shah stepped in as Director of Information at the UN Office of Emergency Operations in Africa.
The text mentions he built innovative information systems that saved hundreds of thousands of lives. What exactly did those systems do?
This is where that Cambridge PhD really comes into play. During the famine, food distribution networks were completely broken. The inputs and outputs were totally mismatched.
So he mapped out those chaotic supply chains using systems theory.
Exactly. He built an information architecture that tracked exactly where resources were, where they needed to go, and where the bottlenecks were happening.
And it was so effective that the UN Undersecretary General specifically credited Shah's systems for those saved lives.
He did. It was monumental.
But here's where it gets really interesting. You'd think building systems that save hundreds of thousands of lives would be the ultimate peak of his career.
You would think so, yeah.
Why did he end up walking away from that entire world?
Because despite his massive success, he hit a wall. He realized that international politics, entrenched interests, and pure bureaucratic inertia were constantly blocking real environmental progress.
He was frustrated.
Intensely frustrated. If we connect this to the bigger picture, he saw firsthand that top-down global treaties simply fail without bottom-up individual responsibility.
Well, so his solution to failing global policy is to open a wellness resort. Because in 2005, he steps away from the UN and founds Zen Resort Bali.
Right.
That sounds like a massive retreat from the real issues. How does treating modern diseases like obesity and stress at a resort actually solve global crises?
It sounds like a retreat until you look at it through his systems-level perspective. Shah shifted from trying to heal the planet through top-down policy to healing the planet by healing the individual components. Us.
Oh, wow. And he co-founded earthodyssey.org alongside the resort to push this idea?
Exactly. He has this really powerful quote. "We have inherited this planet from our ancestors and borrowed it from our children."
So you cannot legislate a secure, living Earth from a UN boardroom if the individuals making up that Earth are physically and mentally completely out of balance.
That's his core argument. Top-down treaties are just the software, but human behavior is the hardware.
If you don't optimize the hardware, your personal health, your mental state, your local daily choices, the global software will always crash. So what does this all mean?
Okay.
It means sustainability isn't just a political buzzword. It's a daily personal choice about your own health and your local environment.
And this raises an important question to leave you with. If a top UN insider, someone who mapped out systems that literally saved hundreds of thousands of lives, concluded that global bureaucracy is fundamentally ineffective, are the massive crises we face today better solved not by international treaties, but by radically changing how we heal and sustain our own individual bodies and minds?